Hello, Master Duel Central. Tearlament right now is everywhere, and I'm playing Tearlament as well, but I don't want to think when I'm playing the mirror because that takes a lot of skill. So instead of using skill, I'm going to be using floodgates. So I added to my deck Masked Hero Dark Law, as well as Elemental Hero Shadow Mist and Mass Change 2. So the idea for this deck basically, and I'm sure I'm not the first person on the planet to come up with it, but someone was talking to me in my Discord. Actually, let me give them a shout out real quick. TFO Half Ounce Hero. So shout out to you. He showed me a deck list with this tech, but not with the Dugares, and I was like, you know, why don't we just run Dugares and one of each? He was just running the 2 mass change in case he draws it. I'm like, nah, bro, let's put in the Shadow Mist and let's just bring it back with Dugares' second effect if we mill it. The best part is we have shufflers, so even if we get our mass change 2 in the grave while we're milling, we can just use our shuffler to get this back in the deck. So it's really, really solid. Happens a lot. It's actually quite consistent, surprisingly. So it's pretty crazy. If you're going first and you know you're in the mirror, just summoning Darklaw pretty much gets you the game for free. Really, really hard to beat. I really underestimated how good Darklaw would be in my staples tier list. Of course, it loses to Super Poly, which there's a lot of Super Poly going around right now. So if your opponent has Super Poly, you might just lose the game. But a lot of the time, if they don't have it, it's just better have it. Honestly, it's really hard to out. So that's what we're going for. And honestly, it's been getting me some nice results. I have a really good replay showing a mirror and just how unplayable it is once I set up my combo. And I also showcase how, you know, you can just shuffle back your mass change so you don't really care about milling it. Another change I made, actually, I removed the second yugioh and replaced it with a third Mudora. The thing is, the millers are good and all, but there's so many mirrors going around, and I almost never want to use these cards if we're playing against Tearlament until I at least have an Abyss Dweller or a way to stop the graveyard, at least some shufflers in the grave, you know? If I can't at least have 1 or 2 shufflers in the grave, I really don't want to activate these. So that's why I decided to remove 1 yugioh and instead add 1 Mudora. I'd much rather have these cards in my grave when almost everyone and their mom is playing Tearlament. So without further ado, let's get into that replay and then I'll show you some gameplay. Alright, so first off here, a good replay just showcasing the mirror. This was a perfect replay to showcase what I want to do with this deck. And obviously it's the kind of card that it's the kind of thing you'll mostly set up going first. It's just kind of like a get out of jail free card when you're going first in a tier mirror. So here we have Terraforming. So we're going to start with the Terraforming to get ourselves a Perlarino. Going to activate Perlarino to add to our hand a Tearlament Rhino Heart. I'm going to normal summon the Rhino Heart, and they're going to chain their Halveness. We're going to activate Maxi here to get a couple of draws, and they're going to, you know, mill a couple of cards. Thankfully, nothing too big. They did get a Shuffler, so we're going to bait it out with our Merly here, and we drew into Sharon, which is going to be really good for us. So they're going to obviously use our Shuffler. We don't get the Fusion Summon. Now we're going to Special Summon Merly, sending our Shuffler to the grave and milling a couple of cards. As you can see here, we did mill our Mass Change, but that's not the biggest of deals. Here I do a little bit of a risky play. This is probably suboptimal, honestly. This was kind of dumb, but I really wanted to showcase the tech. I could have probably just made an Abyss Dweller here and activate Abyss Dweller and then do the Droplet, send a yugioh if I wanted to mill, because if I just made an Abyss Dweller first, it was guaranteed that they would not get to use their graveyard. So that would probably have been smarter, but I wanted to keep these 2 level 4s to make the Dugares to just showcase what I'm actually doing here. So here we go. Droplet on the Halveness just to discard the yugioh. Then yugioh is going to mill a couple of cards here. We're going to use our Kelbeck in the grave since we got another Shuffler. And they're going to use their Merly, so we're going to use our Shuffler here to get rid of the Merly and force out their other Shuffler. We're also going to use this time to shuffle back our Mass Change. They're going to go for Medora, shuffle back, obviously, our fusion targets so that we can't do it, and we keep going here. So now we've gotten rid of both of their shufflers, so I'm happy. Now I'm feeling safe if I do some fusion summoning. So we go Merly in the grave, they go Rhino Heart, as well as, what was the other one? Sorry, I forget. Oh yeah, Scream. But we activate, of course, our shuffler to stop them from using their Rhino Heart. So, yep, here we go. Shuffle back the Rhino Heart, as well as a couple of our own cards that we want, like the Instant Fusion. Now we're going to shuffle 2 into our deck here. Well, not shuffle, put at the bottom of the deck to make a Kit Kalos. Kit Kalos effect is going to search Merly. Going to go Kit Kalos effect, repeating herself to summon Merly. We want to mill as much as possible here. So milling 3 and then 5. And we get to trigger our Solic in the grave to get a Halveness. This is good because we do need a card in hand to discard for the Mass Change 2. Then we're going to detach 2 materials to summon the Shadow Mist. I'm considering replacing the Mass Change 2 with a Mass Change 1, because that way I wouldn't have to discard the Halveness. The one thing is, if I'm just naturally draw it, I have to get to Shadow Mist to even activate it. So maybe worth considering. I'll think about it, but we'll see. Maybe I'll even run 1 of each. Just depending on the situation, it could be good, but we'll see for that. Either way, So here we go. We summon the Shadow Mist from the grave using the Dugares, and now we can activate our Mass Change discard Havness, and make ourselves an elemental hero, Darklaw. So Darklaw is literally just a free win. It even gains 500 attack, which makes it really hard to out because we have the field spell. Then I'm going to make a Sprite Elf. Here I just bring back a Maxi. It's just for the extra body in case I need to go into a Link 2 later. I don't really think I need to, but there are some outs. Now keep in mind, there's not a lot of outs, okay? Their main outs would be, people say like Perlerino, but Perlerino will never trigger because they don't have a shuffler in the grave, so they don't really have any way of shuffling their own Tearlaments back into the deck to trigger the pop effect of Perlerino. If they were to activate, they can't activate Droplet because Droplet has to send to the graveyard, so we are completely safe from Droplet. And also I've set up a Sprite Elf here so that I can bring back my Merly on my opponent's turn, and Merly can mill some cards, and if Merly mills a Tearlament monster, I can start fusion summoning on my opponent's turn. Now, unfortunately, in this turn here, I do not get that lucky. Our opponent's going to go Sharon. We're going to go Sprite Elf to bring back our Merly, hoping to mill some Tearlaments, but we do not mill any Tearlaments. Well, we mill a Rhino Heart, but that doesn't really do the job. Then they're going to go Dweller for some reason. Like, I think they were like thinking, well, if you're going to shut off my graveyard, I'll shut off yours, which is like, okay, whatever. So they go like Dweller effect. We don't really care. We're going to chain the Mudora to the Dweller. And then with the Mudora, we can shuffle back a couple of our Tearlaments into the deck just so we can trigger the Sharon. So there we go. Chain resolves. Then our graveyard is negated, but we don't care. We pop the Abyss Dweller. They're stuck on a half this. They're going to beat over the Elf, which, I mean, is nice and all. They set 2 cards, and then they scoop it up. So I don't know if those 2 cards were just completely useless. It's just too good. Anyway, let's go do some live gameplay. All right, so let's see if we can go first here. We are in Plat 2, and hopefully we're going to go first because I do want to showcase the Darklaw stuff especially. But it seems like we're going second, so it is what it is. We can still show the deck in action. Going second. Most likely won't be summoning Darklaw going second, but at least I showed you the replay for that. Hopefully we have Nis. That would be great. Well, I can't complain. Yeah, okay. I cannot complain. Going second, this is potentially like the best like tier hand ever. This is like crazy. Oh, Foolish Burial Goods. That is a good card. They're going to send their Solik. Then Solik will get to search any monster. Yo, Foolish Burial Goods is seriously just a great card. I'm running Reinforcement of the Army right now. Only reason I like Rhoda is because if I have Sharon in hand, I can actually search Shadow Mist and discard it with the Sharon to get it in the grave, guaranteed. So I like that. Yeah, I don't think there's a world. I don't think there's a world where I Imper Merly here, right? Well, I mean, 3 less mills and then negate Kit Kalos? Yeah, I think I'm going to go for it. It seems kind of goofy, but 6 mills is a lot of mills. 6 mills that's a ton of mills. That is a ton. You know? So, you can call me out for this. Probably a misplay, but you know. Alright, so they got their halfness. See, so probably should not have done that, but you know, we have Max C, so we'll get a little bit of advantage back, so it's not really the end of the world. And we'll get to negate Kit Kalos. We can potentially Kelbeck, depending on what happens here, so I'm not too mad about it. Alright, so shuffling those back. They've got no shufflers, which is great. You know, they might have a shuffler on top of all that if I didn't negate Merly. So, in a way, I think I actually did the right thing. And we're definitely using the other Imperm on Kit Kalos. There is no world where I don't do that. No world where I don't do that. They might still have plays here, but we are going to get draws if they keep playing. So, not the end of the world. And if it's Sharon in hand, well, we can Kelbeck. So, it's not so bad. Okay. Set 2 is kind of scary, I'm not going to lie. Set 2, like, it's not like I can just, like, that's gonna keep me out. Bro, you could not. Could you not, bro? Okay. Let's go Primeval Planet Perlerino. It's a little bit frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. Are they cool with it or not? I mean, if they have crime, they gotta use it here. Yeah, I mean, that's just correct. Yeah, honestly, like, we're looking pretty bad now. We are looking pretty bad. Oh, shit. They added back to the deck. Let's go Kelbeck. Let's bounce the Kit Kalos back to hand here. So we can turn off, if they have Solik, we can turn it off at least. That's great. We're looking good here. We're looking good. Okay, so then we get to go Terraforming. That's pretty funny. I guess Terraforming did come up because they had crime. All right, let's go get Perlerino. Obviously, we can't activate it this turn, unfortunately. Oh, we can because they negated the activation. Well, I'll be damned. I'll be damned. That was just the best Tearlament hand of all time. Let's get a Sharon. Let's start Sharon. Let's start Sharon. This back row better be insane. I can't think of a single back row that would do it here. This is absolutely disgusting. I guess we will summon Dark Law if we want to. Like, we don't even have to, but we could summon Dark Law if we get Shadow Mist in the grave. Yeah, so let's go Merly effect. Did not mill another one, but you know, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. We're going to go for Kit Kalos using the Merly as well as the Sharon. And we did not normal summon yet. Did not normal summon. So we could just go for a not a Kaleido Heart, I mean a Rhino Heart. Yeah, let's go for this. And do we even pop this? Like, I don't think so. I'm going to assume that that's a dead back row, so we're not going to pop it. Let's go get a Rhino Heart to the hand here. Yep. Looking good. Looking good. What do we have in the grave? No, none of those. Okay. So let's normal summon Rhino Heart here. Go Rhino Heart effect. And to the grave, we could send Sharon, but in this case, I'm actually going to send Merly because we're already going to have 2 level 4s. Okay, yeah, let's send Merly to the grave. Kit Kalos. Yep. Tribute Kit Kalos to special Merly. So we'll get to trigger both Merly and Kit Kalos. So, yeah, Kit Kalos effect Chainlink 1, a Merly effect Chainlink 2. I mean, really, like, my opponent, there's just no way they're winning here. There's just no way. All right. Kit Kalos does a bit more milling. What do we have in here? It's looking pretty good. We got plenty of shufflers. We're just looking great here. We can go Solik. Oh my god, this is so broken. Go Solik and go Havness. You know, I think I'm actually gonna pop that. I'm actually gonna pop it because I'm calling it Solik, and like I don't really care if they search a Havness at this point in the game. Because if they went Havness, we could have just done a shuffler if they got anything useful in the grave. So. Yeah, that was just, that was pretty disgusting. Alright, so this is the deck list, and yeah, the Dark Law thing is just really crazy. It doesn't come up every game, but having access to it is just such a free win in the mirror that I really like having it. It's just really good. Obviously, if your opponent draws Super Poly, well, you just lose. You can always make Dweller as well. Like, Dweller is still really, really good. But I really, really like just going the Shadow Mist route, making Dark Law. It's also really good against, because I am still seeing, like, some pile decks and stuff like that. And this card is really good against those as well. But anyway, so for the card by card, so 3 DD Crow, 3 Maxi, 1 copy of Diviner, 2 copies of Merly, 2 copies of Havness. We've got the Shadow Mist, of course, 2 copies of Sharon, 3 Rhino Heart, 2 Keldo, 3 copies of Mudora, 2 copies of Kelbeck, 1 Agido, 2 Lava Golem. We've got the Foolish Burial, the Rhoda, 1 copy of Terraforming, 1 Instant Fusion, 1 copy of Pearl Arena. We've got our Scream. I will play more Scream. I am doing the Dual Pass right now, or yeah, it's called the Dual Pass. So once I get more UR Dust, we're definitely going to craft 1 more Scream. I'm going to play 2. 1 copy of Mass Change, 2 copies of Called By, 1 Droplet, 1 Heartbeat, 2 copies of Imperm, 1 Crime, and 1 Solik. As for the extra, we've got the Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 1 copy of Kit Kalos, we've got our Dark Claw, we've got our Dragos Tapelia, Rule Kalos, Kaleido Heart, Baron de Fleur, Abyss Dweller, Baguska, Time Thief Redoer, Dugares, we've got our Zeus, Dark, Sprite Elf, and the Avramax. This is kind of a flex spot. I don't summon Avramax often, but it is a really good card, so I'm keeping it in for now, but might end up changing this one out later. Yeah, honestly, also, one thing I didn't mention at the start of the video, Dugares is really cool because if you just use its draw effect, it draws 2 and then discards 1 for effect. So if you draw into a Tearlament monster with it, you get to actually like discard a tier and use their effect in the grave. So if you're really down bad and you can make a rank 4, but you didn't really like get to your fusion plays, you can always just make yourself a Dugares, draw 2 and discard a tier. And oftentimes drawing 2, you'll usually draw a tier, or if you already have one in your hand, that's even better. Otherwise, just using the graveyard effect to bring back the Dark Claw is really, really solid. Also, like, one thing that's kind of interesting, it skips your main phase 1. So if you're playing, it's not the most popular deck, but people are still playing Despia, and sometimes, like, you know, after all your interruption, people will end up making like a Quiritis, and just by skipping the main phase, they don't even get to use it, so you can go straight to battle phase and beat over their Quiritis to deal with it. So that's kind of nice. I know it's kind of a niche little scenario, but I did go through that today, and it felt pretty awesome to skip that main phase, so they didn't even get to use their Quiritis. They thought they had me, so yeah, that was really funny. Anyway, anyway, I really like this strategy. I think it's really cool. Obviously, it's a little cringe, but you know, this Dark Law does kind of make up for my lack of skill in the tier mirror. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you for checking out the video. Huge shout out to my UCT tier members. That would be Raptor Rapture, Bongerman for 20, Dad Dude Joey, Beat-Ups, Hit or Miss JT, and JQ the King. You guys are awesome. Thanks also to people supporting in Baby Tier, Miss Tier, over on Twitch, and you who's liking, commenting, subscribing, doing all that good shit. All right. Peace.